Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with Top 10 Tuesdays on DRFTV. This week I'll take a peek at the 3-year-old male division following a very busy Preakness weekend with 3 weeks to go before the final jewel in racing's Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes. We'd love to hear your top 10. Hit us up on the comment section on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Had a tough time deciding who would fill the 10 and 9 spots. We the People, the Peter Pan winner, prepping for the Belmont Stakes, Creative Minister, a good third in the Preakness. They were on my short list, but I decided to rank them as honorable mentions, and we'll begin things with Messier, who's still on the list despite losing his last 2 starts. Let's go back to his last win, however. It was sensational in the Robert B. Lewis at Santa Anita. This is back in February, and he earned a 103 Beyer speed figure that day. Now, he came back and he ran second in the Santa Anita Derby, got cooked up on a hot pace that day. Came back and ran 15th in the Kentucky Derby, got cooked up on a very hot pace that day. I haven't lost belief in this horse's talent. His new trainer, Tim Yakteen, has sent him back to California for a little R&R, but remember that this horse isn't Ontario bred. He's eligible for a race like the Queen's Plate. He's never run on synthetic. Maybe that would be a spot for him. By Empire Maker out of a Smart Strike mare. He might like the synthetic. I think we'll still hear a bit from Messier before the year is through. Number 9 is his stablemate. That is Taba. We're going to watch Taba's super victory in the Santa Anita Derby where he beat Messier and he beat him on the square. Now, he would come back and run 12th in the Kentucky Derby, and his inexperience just worked against him at Churchill Downs. It was only his 3rd lifetime start. He was getting dirt kicked back in his face all the way around, and it was just a foreign experience for him, to say the least. This is a horse who sold for $1.7 million at public auction. He's by the great young sire Gunrunner, and in his 2 starts preceding the Kentucky Derby, the only 2 starts of his young career, his debut was a 103 Beyer, and then the race we just saw you, Santa Anita Derby, a 102 Beyer. He's getting rest in Yakteen's barn in Southern California. This is a very talented horse. I hope he stays sound. I think we're going to see a lot more of Taba in the summer and fall of 2022. White Abarrio is number 8, and White Abarrio just had a tremendous season down in South Florida. He was the best 3-year-old based at Gulfstream Park this winter, a win in the Holy Bull followed by this performance in the Florida Derby. And I love White Abarrio's tactical speed. I love the push-button acceleration that he utilizes in his races. He finished 16th in the Kentucky Derby. It just wasn't there for him that day in a big and bulky field. Safi Joseph has decided to give him plenty of time off. They're going to prep for a summer campaign. I think a race like the Haskell would be tailor-made for White Abarrio. Up next is the number 7, Simplification. And Simplification was in a really good position in the early portion of the Preakness. He was right in behind the leaders, and he tired as if something happened, and it appears something has happened. Trainer Antonio Sano reported after the race that Simplification bled in the Preakness. He was so consistent before that race, he deserves to remain on this list by virtue of his win in the Fountain of Youth, his 3rd in the Florida Derby, his 4th in the Kentucky Derby, his 2nd in the Holy Bull. He has already had a strong campaign with 6 races. He's going to get plenty of time off to recover from this bleeding incident. Mo Donegal is up next, and we're going to watch Mo Donegal win the Wood Memorial, and this is an important win. Perfect trip or no, because the horse he ran down early voting, well, we saw what early voting could do in the Preakness last week. Mo Donegal relishes distance, so it's no surprise that Todd Pletcher skipped the Preakness with the 5th place finisher from the Kentucky Derby and opted for the Belmont Stakes. He is a strong contender in the Belmont, going 1.5 miles. He's yet to reach that triple-digit Beyer plateau, but he's so lightly raced. He still has so much upside potential. He loves distance of ground. You got to think that Mo Donegal is going to run very, very well in the Belmont Stakes. Now, a horse that hasn't been on the Triple Crown Trail, maybe some people have forgotten about. He's going to crack the top 5, and that's Jack Christopher. Let's go back to last year. You'll recall Jack Christopher winning this race, the Grade 1 Champagne. It's only his 2nd lifetime start. He debuted at Saratoga in a 3/4 mile maiden special. He won that race by the length of the stretch with a 92 Beyer. Here in the Champagne, he wins with a 102 Beyer. Now, he would have been one of the favorites in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Unfortunately, he got injured. He had to miss the Juvenile. Chad Brown lost a lot of preparation time over the winter. Couldn't get this horse ready for the Spring Classics. Instead, he returned in the Pat Day Mile at Churchill Downs, also a 1-turn race, and he was electric yet again, winning with a 98 Beyer speed figure. Now, he'll turn back to 7 furlongs for his next start. You'll see him Belmont Stakes Day, but not in the Belmont. He'll run in the Grade 1 Woody Stevens, and this horse has all the makings of a top 1-turn horse. We might see a race like the Haskell in in play for Jack Christopher around 2 turns, if all goes well in the Woody Stevens. Number 4 is Rich Strike, who will get the opportunity in the Belmont to prove that his Kentucky Derby win at 80-1 odds was no fluke whatsoever. Now, you can say what you want about the Kentucky Derby. You can say he had a perfect trip and ride, and Sonny Leone gave him a perfect ride. You can say he had a blazing pace to attack, and it was one of the fastest Derby paces, if not the fastest Derby pace of all time. But this horse also ran the final 3/16 of a mile, and he ran down 2 good horses, Epicenter and Ndon, to win the Derby. It's just possible that this is a horse that has finally found himself. He was given time. It was an unorthodox decision, to say the least, to skip the Preakness and not go for the hallowed Triple Crown, but instead he will go to Belmont, and he might be underestimated once more. Rich Strike earned a 101 buyer speed figure in the Kentucky Derby. He has a big opportunity to shoot right up the rankings with another good performance at Belmont. Ndon is up next. We're going to watch Ndon win the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland 2 starts back. I like the way he weaved his way through traffic in this race. He was sort of in behind horses most of the way. Flavien Prat found all the holes, and Ndon burst through to win. In the Kentucky Derby, he loomed boldly outside of Epicenter. It looked like he had all the steam, all the momentum at the 16th pole, but he just couldn't get by when it mattered and had to settle for 3rd. He will not run in the Belmont. I would expect Chad Brown to use a race like the Jim Dandy as a prep for the Travers. Ndon, number 3, getting a bit of a break. Number 2 is Epicenter. And what can you say other than poor Epicenter? He ran 2nd in the Kentucky Derby. He ran a heck of a race that day. He got a really nice trip. He was very close to that fast pace, made the first move into it, repelled Ndon, and just couldn't hold off the long shot Rich Strike. In the Preakness, he was a little bit flat from the gate. Maybe the 2-week turnaround had something to do with it. He just didn't break very well. He wound up far back behind a much slower pace. He still ran on very well to be 2nd behind early voting. Just gave up too much of a tactical advantage to early voting turning into the stretch. 3 consecutive triple-digit buyer speed figures for Epicenter. Unfortunately, we won't see him in the Belmont. He does get a well-deserved rest. I would expect him in a race like the Travers in the summer. And number 1, as we watch the Preakness stretch run, early voting holding off Epicenter. Early voting shoots to number 1 by virtue of this victory in the Preakness. He is 3 for 4 lifetime. He is a neck away from being unbeaten in his career. Of course, we saw Donegal run him down in the Wood Memorial, and this horse's tactical speed just gives him a huge edge in any of his races because he could provide his jockey Jose Ortiz with any kind of a trip. He sat 2nd. He sat comfortable. Ortiz was always sitting on a powder keg, and early voting exploded in the stretch. 105 buyer speed figure for a horse that will not run in the Belmont. He will prep for the big summer races as well, whether it's the Haskell, the Jim Dandy, the Travers. Expect to see him in one of those 3 races. There's the top 10 for the 3-year-old male division on DRFTV's Top 10 Tuesdays. We'd love to hear your comments. Again, please hit us up on the comments section on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel.